Okay, hi everyone. The first part of learning Japanese is learning the character set. So I'm going to demonstrate that I've learned Hiragana and Katakana, the two Japanese alphabets, which are based on the same sounds, but Hiragana is for the Japanese words and Katakana is for the foreign words, and they sound sort of similar to the foreign words, but not exactly the same. And they actually have a third set, which is the kanji, which is similar to, which is the same as actually Chinese, or is borrowed from Chinese of about 1400 years ago. So it's a smaller subset. Anyways, I'm just going to write out the hiragana and katakana here to show that I've memorized those characters, because you need that obviously to be able to read Japanese. And so basically the same sounds, and there's 51 basic characters for each set. So in total, obviously 102 or 51. Yeah. So here goes. Okay, so I've actually already written the first one, which is the ah sound. Sort of a T and a loop. And then the katakana is sort of looks like a P almost. So in the I sound, it's a line, and it kind of hooks up, and it's another smaller line beside it for the hiragana. And the katakana looks like a T, and then the U sort of looks like a sideways U with a little strike above it. And then the katakana U is well, I don't know how to describe it really, but again, there's sort of a straight up and down little line, and then almost kind of a curvy 7 that has a hook on the front. And then you have the S sound, E sound, which looks kind of like a Z with a curl on it. And then the katakana looks a bit like elevator doors. And the O is looks a bit like the A, sound. Okay, so as it curves around, and then there's a little strike, and then the O for the katakana. Think of it looking kind of like a Olympic figure skater. If you sort of imagine outstretched arms. Then you have the ka sound, and so ka is I don't know how I would describe it, but it's this character, kind of the Chinese li word. The katakana is almost the same, but it doesn't have the little mark on the side. And then all right, next is ki, and so I think of this as looking like a key. There's two strikes, and then that, and there's a line underneath it. And then the katakana is actually the same without the little line that curves down below. Ku is it looks like a K without the first line on it for the hiragana, and the katakana somehow describes a bit like a cook's hat. You have to use your imagination. And then there's the K sound, and then that is short line, and then there's a crossbar. It's kind of like a T in a way. And then the katakana K. I kind of think of it as looking a bit like almost a gun. Ko. So I think of the word coal, and so it's like the tracks in a coal mine. So there's two lines, sort of, but the first one kind of hooks around over, and yeah, and the bottom line is a bit curved. And then the katakana, it's a box with open ends. So I think of the corners, the two corners, and then the sa is the next sound. Okay, so for some odd reason, it looks similar to ki, but with one less stroke across the ends. More just basically like a cross. And again, it has a line underneath it. And okay, so then the katakana version, I think of it looking as kind of like an old style saw. So that's how I get that symbol. And then this is a bit of a graphic image, but I think of a sheep being held up on a hook. So that's how I'm going to get the hook for the hiragana. And then for the katakana is like a ship that's pointing upwards, almost as if it's going to capsize. So the two chimneys and the bottom of the boat. Sue, I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but I think of Sue, my sister Sue, and then and she's on top of a cat, which is why it's 9, a cat with 9 lives. And then in the katakana looks like a 7 with a that's sitting down, so it's got almost becomes like a seat. There's another line there. And then you have se, S-E. Okay, so and this is like this and that, and then the katakana version is more or less the same, but it's missing that short line that crosses in the middle. And then so it's a Z with a C. And so as in I don't know, I guess soft serve ice cream. So it's looks like this. The line on the right is a bit longer. And then ta. Okay, so I think I take the cross from the ta, the T, and it's kind of like the ko with the 2 tracks. And then this part, the katakana looks like a ku, but there's another line there, so you can think of it as a tower on its kind of like a leaning tower, if you want to think of it that way. And then chi, I think of it as okay, it's a cross, and for some odd reason this reminds me of chi. And the katakana, think of it as a chick with its arms stretched out. And su, I don't know why I think of it as a friend named Erwin Sue, and it looks like he's on a horse with horseshoes, and so it's a horseshoe. And then for the katakana, it's like a tsunami, which is it's going to look a little bit like she. So, but with the 2 marks, but the 2 marks are going straight up and down. And then the bottom line, instead of starting from the bottom, it starts from the top. So they look similar and it can be easy to confuse. And then you have the te. Okay. All right. So, all right. So, okay. Te. I think of te as in Taylor Swift. And so she has a T. And then the okay, the other part of it is that it's also going to be a T, but she's got a floating stage, okay, on top. And then you got toe, and so this, all right, so so this is kind of similar to the U, except that the horseshoe goes the other way, the U goes the other way, and then the katakana, think of it of a totem pole, except the arm kind of goes down a bit. There's one arm on it, the totem pole. It's a very boring totem pole. Then we have na. Okay, so I think of na. She's religious. She's an Italian. So that's why you have a cross. There's a little line there, and then this looks like a fish to me. So the Italian grandma is making fish, and maybe the fish is supposed to be floating around. That's why there's some drop of water there. And she's carrying a knife. Okay, and then knee. So I think of a person on their knees in a coal mine. And it just happens to be that the word for knee is two, which is the same as Chinese with the two lines. New, and I think of the word, for some reason I think of, the word sounds like nude, right? So, and it looks kind of like a Star Trek symbol, so I don't know, think of a nude who's Star Trek, but there's a bit of a curve on it, which makes a difference, because as you'll see soon. And for the katakana, I think of it as, okay, looks like a 7, so the new person is 7 of 9, and she's also sitting in a chair, but it's going to go a little further. So it's like a picnic table. And then we have neigh, and I think of neigh, it sounds like a horse neighing, and so it gives me an image of a cowboy with a lasso. And neigh is for katakana is like a nest in a tree, so it's a nest in a tree. No, for some odd reason it's like that, sort of stylized no, nothing, nil. And also, and the katakana is just a strike, so it's kind of like, okay, it's a strike out, no. And then ha. For me, okay, so ha, there's a line, and then crossbar with, and I think of this as like a dancer. So somebody going in and ha ha ha, they're dancing around a pole. And then the katakana version, it's like a hat, so it's like cone but downwards. And then we have he, and that is sort of a, I think it looks like a smiley, smile. And then he, as in sort of somebody's guy is sitting, looks like a person sitting, who is actually fu. Don't ask me why, but that's what it is, part of that series. And then, so that will be, it's kind of like the Chinese word heart, which is sin. So it looks kind of like that. I think of the heart as positive things, so it's like lucky 7. So that's katakana symbol for fu. Hay, I think of a haystack, so it's kind of like that, and the katakana is almost the same, well, not quite as angled. And then ho, okay, well, I know it's kind of sexist, but I think okay, so you get a dancer, but she's wearing a hat, and but in the katakana it's a cross and a couple of lines, so it's like a holy cross, and it's shining bright. Okay, so Ma, I think of Ma as, okay, she's also like likes my mother as dance, and so again it's sort of dancing, and then I think of it as, okay, seven. Seven in as is represents the word key for me, and so it's as if my mother has a house on a hill. Okay, so key on a hill, and then me. Okay, so that is. So I think of me. So I'm kind of like Zorro, and here I have my sword. And then for katakana, it's like do, re, mi. So you got 3 strikes like that. Moo. Moo, I think it was mooing in a cow. So the cow has a cross, and there's a snake, and the snake causes it to freak out. So that's why there's a little bit of a strike there. Indicate that it's like a jumping. And then the cow has, I don't know, whatever. For some reason, the cow, I think of the cow as having horseshoes, so, and I need to hammer them on. So this is like a hammering arm. And then May. All right, I think of somebody I know named May, who's also on Star Trek, and so it's sort of a similar symbol, but it doesn't have the extra loop like for new. And May is doing something X-rated. And then mow, as in mowing the lawn. So it's got a couple of tracks, just like in a coal mine, but then I hit a rake or something, a J-shaped line, and the katakana is almost the same, except that the first line is on the top of the J and the backwards J. Ya, I think of it as somebody on a yacht. They're leaning over the edge, so then that's the edge, and they're reaching across with a hook, curved hook. And the katakana, and when they do, some water splashes, and that's that. The katakana is similar without the splash, and it's got a hard hook on it. U is, I think of it as, it looks like almost like an eye. So the eye of the U, and then but the wool of the sheep needs to be ironed, so then that's the katakana symbol. Yo, I think of as a one-armed dancer with a yo-yo, and they are surrounded by eels, so that's how I get the backwards E for the katakana. Ra, as in rah rah rah, so there's 5 cheerleaders, and katakana, you actually have 7 cheerleaders, and it's so it's a 7. Re. Okay, so then I think of this as, okay, a couple of legs, like like Philip Ree, the martial artist. Okay, actually the first one's kind of like that, and the katakana is pretty much the same. Some versions of the Re are kind of like this, they're connected. And then you have Ru, so I think of that as three kangaroos, because the symbol looks like a 3, except for with a little hook, so that the hook represents the tails of the kangaroo. And the katakana, though, keyword I use is root, and that's the root of a tree. Then you have ray, and so I guess I think of it again, a cowboy out in the sun's rays, and he is again playing with his lasso, but instead of a tight loop, it goes like that. And ray for katakana, it's like the rays of the sun, so radiating outwards, upward. And then row, think of 3 rowers, and this looks it's a 3 without the hook. And then row for is going to be square, or like a robot. That's going to be box. All right. And then we have wa. So now I think of that as, again, cowboy, but in water. And so then he is going to be, I just throw in a loop. And then that's going to be a glass of water. And then we have wo, and that's reminds me of the Chinese word I, and so that probably doesn't really help you figure that out, why I got that figured that out, but it helped me somehow. And then I think of the sound sounds like wall, as in war, 1-ton soup, so it's the edge of a bowl. And then the N sound actually looks like an N for the hiragana, but the katakana is similar to the she in ship, so that's kind of like that and that, but only one chimney. So that's the hiragana and katakana.